Hi, guys, and welcome to the Scale Without Social podcast. I am so excited to continue this series that I have been doing on the 5 steps that you can take to step away from social media and still build your business. If that's just for a short period of time or for a longer period of time, those 5 Ds that I've been sharing over the last several episodes have been decide, divulge, direct, which is going to be this week's episode in part 2 of my interview with Jake Dempsey, the CEO and founder of Project Broadcast. And then coming up, we've got a couple more delegate and delete. So, episode 21 is where I do the brief overview, and then the episodes that have followed this one are a little bit more of a deep dive. But today, I'm super excited to continue the conversation with Jake. And specifically, we're going to be talking about how he and his partner, Brian, and co founder, built Project Broadcast, which is one of the top texting marketing apps out there right now. It's absolutely exploding. It's an incredible product that can help you build your business, especially outside of social media. But he talks specifically about how they built their business without social media, and then we dive into some of the specific resources and tools that Project Broadcast and texting in particular have to offer you in your business. So, we're going to get into the nitty gritty for all of you tech nerds out there, but we're also going to make it super simple if tech tends to overwhelm you or you're not even sure where to start with text marketing. So, I hope you love today's episode, and let's get started. Are you dreaming of making a long-term income and impact beyond your own efforts, but feel like you're struggling to replicate your results? I'm Heather, a former burned-out boutique owner turned top network marketing leader, and I've learned the hard way that you don't have to do all the things all on your own. Now, my passion is helping social sellers scale their business by choosing faith over fear and using simple, duplicatable systems without having to sell your soul to social media. I'm so excited to share with you simple tips, tricks, and tools to help you take your business to the next level. In each episode, I'll share faith-focused wisdom, proven systems that your team can duplicate, and inspiring stories from other leaders who have been right where you are today. Are you ready to grow your team, find joy and fulfillment, and feel free? Break out your favorite pen and notebook, and let's dive in. So, if you haven't already listened to the part 1, episode 28 with Jake Dempsey, I definitely recommend that you go ahead and go check that out because you're going to hear the backstory of how Jake founded his company. You're going to hear about why he and I agree that text marketing absolutely should be something that you should leverage for your business and why it might even be better than things like email or certainly keeping your conversation buried in your DMs within your social media accounts, right? So today, as we continue the interview, we're going to get a little bit more into the how it works. So let's get started.
Even if you look at Project Broadcast, me and Brian. So Brian and I we launched in 2017, right? Project Broadcast didn't have an Instagram account until like 3 months ago.
What? Oh, that's
Nope.
so cool.
We created our Instagram account. I think it might be 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago. We started Instagram. Project Broadcast did have and does have a business Facebook page, but go look at it. I would call it, I'll be generous for myself and say it's a very lean business page. And then if you look at my personal Facebook page and Brian's personal Facebook page, we both post a few times a year.
Mhm.
So I'm actually not, as an individual, highly active in social media as a person. Obviously, I am because we have so many groups that we manage for Project Broadcast and help people through support with that. But we didn't grow Project Broadcast by trying to be an ultra texting influencer. It wasn't the way we grew the business. We grew the business. Now, maybe it's a little bit different for some of the people listening, but the way we literally grew the business, and Project Broadcast literally supports 50 plus different network marketing direct sales companies, tens and tens of thousands of entrepreneurs use Project Broadcast. I think we have over 30,000 active users currently. So we grow the business, and this is how we do it today still. When we see people use Project Broadcast, we love on them. That's what we do. When we see that people need help, we help them. And on occasion, we meet someone who has friends. And then we ask them if we can share about Project Broadcast to their friends. And we get on a Zoom call. And I just literally did a Zoom a few days ago. We had 150 people on it. And That didn't come from social media. That came from people who liked our product, who had people in their influence that they thought that Project Broadcast could help them. We said we would love to talk with them, and we set up a Zoom. None of that was done via social media. Zero.
Mm, man, that's good. And I know your wives too, because they've been in the industry for a while. They
Mhm.
probably didn't build their businesses. I'm sure they probably leverage it a little bit, maybe, but maybe not because they don't have to, right?
Well, Christy's so my wife's name's Christy, and the thing I love about Christy is, I'm biased, of course, because 20 plus years of marriage, you get super biased. But she is, no one loves harder than my wife. No one. I remember when she was growing her business in the early days, someone would need her product. Like maybe they ordered, but they don't have the particular thing they need. And she would literally hop in the car and drive like an hour to take them the product that they didn't have, that they could have just ordered and gotten like in 2 or 3 days. And she's like, no, she said she needs it today. I'm taking it to her. I'm like, okay. And I think that like just approach to life has what helped her be very successful. Yes, she leverages social media. She is constantly, full transparency. She's constantly struggling with, how do you improve and be better at social media? But no one out hugs her. No
Mm.
one. No one out hugs her. And I think that's what really helped her really build her business. And social media is there to like help support it in a way. But I think she's a fantastic hugger, and she loves to talk to people, and she loves to get to know them and have coffee with them and learn about them and like really engage with them. And even if she knew that person wasn't going to be her customer or join her business, she just loves on people like that in general. And guess what? I can't count the number of times she's had a friend who doesn't use her product and isn't on her team say, so and so that I know needs to talk to you because they need your product.
Yes.
And that didn't come from liking or sharing anything on social media.
No, it's because she hugged them, whether that's
She
virtually
hugged them.
or literally. That
Yeah.
makes I love that. I love that analogy. Just go be a hugger. I should do a whole episode
Hug
on
a neck.
okay. 'Cause I have to say that's, just to use an anecdotal experience, I recommended the Project Broadcast app to one of my amazing leaders, Emily, to
Mhm.
share. She's amazing on social media, but she wants to just, try to focus on some other things. And so I recommended that she set up a project. I actually think she even had the app before, but
Mhm.
to go all in, to create a business number. And she ran into a little snag when she was setting it up. And I happened to be communicating with Joanna, who's one of your awesome team
Yeah.
members. And I just said, I don't even know if this is okay to ask you. And she said, it's more than okay. That is what I'm here for. Can you send me her number so I can make sure that not only this particular issue gets resolved, but that she knows that she's got a point of contact? And I know we have for our company, and I did a quick search, and it looks like you have this for a lot of these companies that you work with. You have entire communities of
Mhm.
service for the people who are looking to use your product in conjunction with their business. Is that right?
It is. And fortunately or unfortunately for Dawn and Joanna, when I hired them, so they were in the wild as professional consultants. They would get hired by high ranking leaders to help them strategize and use Project Broadcast. And I saw that and I'm like, I don't like that. I mean, I like it for the people that pay for it. But again, remember who I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking
Mhm.
about the triple diamond unicorn. I'm thinking about the mom who's trying to make a couple $100 a month to do something nice for the family. Well, guess what? She can't pay for Dawn and Joanna. So I literally reached out to Dawn. She was the first one I hired and convinced her, then later Joanna, to join Project Broadcast full time so that everyone has that capability and you don't pay for it. It's a part of being in the Project Broadcast community. And I told them, again, this is the unfortunate part maybe for them. I told them, your job is to make customers successful. Well, what does that mean? That it means help them be successful. So if you're strategizing on how they can use Project Broadcast to crush a vendor event, or they're struggling to understand how to use keywords to extract, like we talked about, extract influence off of social media, your job is to create training and get on calls with people and host power hours. It's a pretty vague job description, help customers be successful, but they are killing it. Everyone loves Dawn and Joanne. They are, you know, I don't know. They just they kill it. They really embody what I was hoping would happen when they joined the team was that people would just be leveraging them and they would be helping them grow their business and leveraging Project Broadcast, not in a support role, but in what we call a success role. And they're killing it. They're phenomenal.
That's amazing, and it's also scalable for you because who doesn't want their job to be basically a professional hugger, right? Like, they get to, you know,
They
visually
do.
hug the people and help them, and what a cool like, I just actually talked about Brené Brown and her awesome book, Dare to Lead, and how
Mhm.
she talks about, paint done for me. Like, what does this look like to be a success? And the fact that you're like, help others be successful and do whatever it takes to get there. I can already tell just in the time that I've been interacting with her that that's what she does, and, like,
Yes.
gave her one job, and what a fun job to help other people win, and so that's scalable. You can find more Dawn and Joannas because you're gonna need to after it's already taken off like crazy, but I can't wait to see even where this grows for y'all in the future. It's gonna be super cool.
I'm just a big believer in that, like in any business, right? If you want to earn, then you have to just provide more value. Like the money that you earn and the success that you have is directly proportionate to the amount of value that you put out into the world.
Mhm.
So I look at Dawn and Joanna, and they are constantly driving massive amounts of value to people in our user base, and that literally results in those people saying, "Oh my gosh, I have 5 friends that really need to be using this." Great. Well, let us talk to them. That's what has literally has grown our business is just, I'll say hugging necks, but it's true. I mean, we do our best to love on customers as hard as we can and support them as best we can. And that's literally how we grew the business. And it's still how we grow the business.
Man, that's good, and that's a great lesson for any entrepreneur, so how cool to exemplify that. Well, Jake, let's dive into a few of your top tech tips. So this again, like could be for someone who is like me that is like, okay, well, how does this work? And
It's
what
for the nerds.
yeah, the nerds. But then also again would love to be able to give for the people who their mind starts to, go crazy or explode when you talk about tech stuff. So what are your top tips, your top tech tips that you think work with text messaging?
Well, I would say so as a simple thing first, let's say for those listening, when you get a Project Broadcast account, it's important to know you pick a state, or if you're in Canada, the province that you live in, and we give you a huge list of phone numbers, and you pick a phone number. That is now your Project Broadcast phone number, your business phone number, basically. You can send and receive text messages on that phone number using the Project Broadcast mobile app or our website, and you can even make and receive phone calls. So because it is a full business line, you can do all sorts of things. So for example, one of the things I've been talking with people about recently in terms of prospecting on Instagram specifically is that today you already share about your product. You're sharing about your product on Instagram. You're doing little fun reels. You're putting stuff in your story. But guess what? Like after a few hours, that content is stale, right? And how do people interact with it? They either comment on it or they like it. Maybe you get a follow out of it, but what does it actually do beyond that? It kind of stops, right? Well, what if you started putting something like text me with your Project Broadcast phone number as a part of the reel? Or let's say, again, I'm Jake, the Acme Unicorn distributor, whatever. And I'm posting on Instagram about my awesome unicorns. Everyone should have a unicorn. I may create a keyword in Project Broadcast called unicorn and literally on my social media create reels about the awesome unicorns and say, hey, text unicorn to this phone number to learn more. And guess what? When they text the word unicorn, I've now extracted them off of social media. And what's powerful about that is sometimes your reels get more reach if you're doing it right. It gets more reach than the number of people that you have following you because someone saw it and they shared it or whatever, right? Well, if it's a part of your reel, then you can be extracting influence off of social media for people that don't even currently follow you. And then if you create a highlight with those reels, guess what? When someone clicks that highlight 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, they can still text you. And that content can be helping you extract influence off of social media. In fact, today, and a lot of influencers are even doing this, which is really interesting. I've seen a lot of very large influencers do this. One I follow actually is Gary Vee.
Mhm.
Gary Vee even does this. if you look at these large influencers bios on like Instagram and they say, text me, and there's a phone number, guess what? That's not their phone number. They're using a tool like Project Broadcast. It's not using Project Broadcast to extract an audience. So I'm always thinking about like, how do you, extract eyeballs? Maybe that sounds weird, but how do you extract the eyeballs? Or let's say you do vendor events. Let's say you love doing vendor events, and today you have a clipboard and people come by and put their name and phone number. Maybe you do a raffle and you go home that night and you try to read everyone's chicken scratch and put it into an Excel document, upload it to random.org and pick a raffle winner. Well, what if you created a QR code? You can do this. You create a QR code where when someone scans the QR code, it opens up their texting app, puts your keyword into the message to send, automatically fills in your phone number, and all they have to do is click send. So now you can have, a little piece of paper at your vendor booth with the QR code. And literally, as people walk by, maybe they don't want to stop and write their name and number, but they're interested in your product at the table. If they scan that QR code, you just captured a lead.
Mm.
And you can use Project Broadcast to go even further than that, to where when they text you that keyword, it triggers a configurable form, and maybe you collect information like first name, last name, favorite unicorn color, whatever the thing is that you need to capture, and maybe offer something as a part of that, and now you're creating this lead list, and you're doing really, heavy lifting, right? You could focus on managing the table, making the table look great, and not worrying about getting people to fill out this clipboard. You got to fill, go read later. It's a great way to actually extract eyeballs. And I know a lot of people love doing vendor events, and then they're frustrated when it's over because then they have to go do the work of following up with those folks. You could literally use Project Broadcast to extract the eyeballs, create leads. You could create a contest in Project Broadcast to even pick a winner for the raffle. Yeah. And then now you've got all the people that texted you the keyword, all the people that filled out your form. You created the contest to pick the winner. And now you have a list already in Project Broadcast of leads to follow up with, to try to, have more engagement with. You can do all that in Project Broadcast.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, man. Now, yeah, now you're speaking to my heart. I haven't done a vendor event in a minute, but I can't wait to do one now. And Canva is another one of my favorite tech tools.
Yeah.
And I love how easy now the integration of the QR code. It's so simple, just like you would upload a picture or, something into it. You can just create a QR code. Is that now, do you do it in terms of the service with Dawn and Joanna, or, can you help people with that tech side of it for when they go to when that QR code goes to their texting app? Is that a simple?
Yes, it is super. So that I need to get there's a website I always go to. And I actually have told the team we should just build this because it's really not that hard for us to build. But if you Google QR code as for like text, there's a gazillion of these out there. You'll put in your phone number you want it to pop open, and what do you want automatically filled into the message, and it'll generate the QR code for you. We should have that in Project Broadcast. We don't yet, but we should build that. But yeah, that concept is super cool. And even speaking of Canva, for kind of nerdy people out there, we have an integration with Canva.
Oh,
So you can actually create graphics in Canva on the website or their mobile app and save it directly into your Project Broadcast account. Did you
wow.
know that? Isn't
No,
that cool?
that's
Yeah.
that is fantastic. Now, what about drip campaigns? Because I know for, again, nerdy people like me, like I totally get that concept, but why is that important? What is it exactly? And does Project Broadcast do that easily?
We support, I think, 7 different campaigns today, drip campaigns being one of them. But let's go back to kind of that social media approach, and I'll tell you where campaigns can be very powerful. One of my favorite types of campaigns for people who are currently even on social media are time lapse campaigns. So let's say again, I got to come up with a better product than Acme Unicorn, but let's just we'll keep going with that. Let's say I want to teach you about Acme Unicorns and hopefully get you to buy one, right? Or at least set up a time to call me to talk about them. When I create that keyword, maybe it's called unicorn in Project Broadcast, I can have, when someone texts me that keyword, have them added to a campaign automatically. Well, our time lapse campaign allows you to send, say, whatever, let's say it's 5 messages. I can send the first one immediately, then 5 minutes later, 5 minutes later, 5 minutes later. And I can effectively do like a party over text and just educate someone about our product over text very simply. Now, I'm going to be a smart marketer and make sure my messages are one, engaging, and two, have some call to action, right? Like, here's my Calendly link, or I'd love to set up a time for coffee, or here's even a link maybe to our website for you to make a purchase. I love time lapse campaigns for that. And in fact, the last probably 2.5 years, using time lapse campaigns to deliver content quickly to someone that is asking for information became hugely popular. And the great thing about like drip campaigns, like you mentioned, is as much as everyone wants to, and this is where I'll be a little harsh, everyone wants to be great at follow up, but everyone sucks at it. Like, like, and it's not necessarily their fault. It's just life gets in the way.
Yeah.
We've
Especially the
got
busy
kids to deal
mom.
with. Yeah, we've got kids to deal with, and we've got families to manage. So follow up can fall through the cracks. Well, with drip campaigns and project broadcasts, let's say you wanted to set up a 2-day, 2-week, 2-month, 6-month follow up system for your customers. You can create a drip campaign and project broadcast where the first message is 2 days after, and then 2 weeks after, 2 months after, maybe 6 months after, depending on how you want to set up your system. And then whenever you want to, you just add one of your contacts to the campaign and we schedule all those messages for you. And again, you want your messages to be engaging because ideally you want the person to respond. That's when you know you're doing really good in project broadcast, is when you get your recipient to respond to your message, not just receive them. But the nice thing about setting up follow up in a drip campaign is it's kind of like mom guilt. You don't get leader guilt, right? You don't get leader guilt that you followed up with someone, but not this other person. And now you can't message them because you know they're going to be angry because you didn't follow up with them. Like, this is real.
Yeah.
And when you have a follow up system in place, that is eliminated entirely.
Yeah, man, that's true. That leader guilt is real, and I know drip
It's
camp
real.
totally that customer service aspect of it, or even I guess distributor service. Really, like you're saying for your team, like there's so many different ways that you can leverage things like that to make sure that the conversations don't fall through the cracks. So that's super powerful. Well, what else? I know you've got some really cool things headed down the pipeline, and I don't think they're a secret because I saw them on the blog. But what?
Yes, we did a post. Yeah, we did a post about it. Hey,
Yes. What's
okay, here's my belief. I believe that there's a place for social media, right? There's a place for it. I don't think the place for team collaboration is on social media. I actually don't think it's well suited for it, to be frank, because again, if the goal of the media platform is to serve ads and the goal of team collaboration is high visibility, high collaboration, they kind of contradict each other in terms of the goals of the media platform. So we actually launched a new feature called Spaces. Now, I always say you have to squint really hard right now to see the vision I'm going to paint. Okay. Because today, if you were to go look at Spaces, it's more like a Facebook Messenger type feature. But in the next 4 to 6 months, I would say maybe we'll say 6 months. The rest of the year, we're going to be working heavily to add additional capability into Spaces, which is designed for collaboration.
Mm.
It's designed to be a place where you and your team and maybe even your customers can collaborate and actually have real collaboration. Like, there's no financial incentive for me if you post it into a space to not make sure that Sally, your friend who's also in the space, knows about it. Zero, right? So a space is going to have discussion, kind of like your discussion on your Facebook group. It's going to have content sharing. So files, documents, images. It's going to have a full Q&A module, like a real Q&A where people can ask a question and other people can answer, and you can upvote the answer, and you can mark one of the answers the best answer. So now you can start building knowledge bases around, certain spaces that you want to create. And we're going to keep adding features into Spaces with the hope of really replacing the need for using Facebook groups for managing your team and customers. It's pretty ambitious. Yeah, it's pretty it's pretty ambitious, I will say that. We're also doing a full redesign of the product because Spaces is so foundational now to what we think Project Broadcast needs to do. We're doing a complete redesign of the product to make sure that Spaces is really, like, really part of the product, and that we should have done by the end of the year as well.
Mm. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that is seriously so exciting, and I know will serve my listeners so well because we're all trying to kind of figure this thing out together, right?
I
Because
know.
we're all learning about this whole "we are the product" and "oh no," like how there's got to be another way. And not that social media is, the enemy, and 90% of my listeners still, obviously use and leverage it for their business, much like you said your wife does. But we're all looking for those alternatives and to work
Mhm.
smarter, not harder, and the fact that you could integrate both your customer communication and your team communication in a place that would be an alternative to social media communities, that could be seriously huge. And I know for a
Oh,
fact there's a huge market for it. That's amazing.
well, I'm excited because when you think about the things that we really wanna be able to do, for example, so in your account in Project Broadcast, you'll be able to create as many spaces as you want.
Mm.
Well, you think of a space as like a piece of context, meaning I want a space just for my top leaders. We'll create a space for that and only let your top leaders in that space. I want a space just for the people going to conference next year. Great, create a space for it. And now all of the content you're sharing and the Q&A is specific to that space, right? So if you want a place for just you and your leaders, or even you and cross-line people that you collaborate with, right? Because it doesn't have to just be people in your organization. You can create a space for it. And what's cool is you'll be able to do things like add a space to a campaign.
Mm.
So imagine, yeah, so you can create a drip campaign and then add a space to it. So it makes my brain go to places like, wait, so I could do almost like group onboarding of new consultants if I wanted to.
Ooh.
Like today in Project Broadcast, when you add contacts to a campaign, each contact gets an individual text message, right? Well, what if you wanted that to be more collaborative? What if you created a space for what we're in the month of August? What if you created a space for all of the people that joined your team in July, and then you added that July new member space to a campaign that drips on it and
Mhm.
onboards those people all together. But because they're all in a space together, they can collaborate and have discussion together. So you
Mm.
can, basically have scheduled messaging going into a space and have collaboration with all the people that are in the space. And I think literally that one concept creates so many opportunities for cool stuff to happen in Project Broadcast. I'm 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 super excited about spaces and really frustrated because I really want all this today, but unfortunately, it takes time to build great features. So Brian has committed to me. Brian, if you're listening, remember you said this. Brian's committed to me that by the end of the year, we should have a lot more functionality in spaces. We should have the redesign done. And we actually are also adding email as a channel to Project Broadcast by the end of the year. So a lot of really big things coming.
That's gonna be huge. I am seriously so excited about all of this, and I know that my wheels or my listeners' wheels are spinning with all of this information, and I know we could probably talk for forever, but I just am so thankful for you taking so much time to both share your story and then also share some tips, regardless if someone chooses to use Project Broadcast or a
Mhm.
different platform. You've brought so much gold in building a business even outside of the tech stuff, but especially leveraging tech marketing to scale their business. So thank you so much, Jake. I'm so, so, so grateful.
Oh no, you're so welcome. I could sit here all day and we could chat. We could chat about tech stuff and business and Project Broadcast. This is like this is what fills my heart. So
That's awesome. Well, we might have to do it again. Maybe
I love it.
somebody
Yeah.
be we could even bring I would love to meet your wife and Brian's wife.
Yeah.
That would be a cool conversation because I think this story is just kind of beginning. And I know that Project Broadcast has served our company so well. And it's
That's
time.
awesome. I love hearing that. And we get emails every day from leaders and people who use Project Broadcast, and we share them amongst the company because I want everyone in the company to see like this is the real impact you're having. This person just started using Project Broadcast and this happened in their business, and all the work that you guys are doing did this, and that's super rewarding. It's so rewarding.
Well, I have to tell you, we had a record month in July
Mhm.
specifically, and part of the reason for that is the people who leverage text marketing. We had a
Mhm.
pricing update that some people could have viewed as kind of a setback due to, the crazy things that are happening with inflation and all of that. But the ones who chose to communicate via text marketing absolutely exploded their sales, and it resulted in this just unbelievable boom that honestly is even carried into August. And
I
so,
love that.
and like I said, most people, I mean, not everyone's on specifically the Project Broadcast app, but I know a lot of people who have made the switch because of the
Mhm.
affordability, the pricing, the capabilities, and the integration. Like it's just a no-brainer win-win. So again, thank you for providing such an awesome product for all of us.
You're welcome. And, just stay tuned. A lot of really cool stuff is coming. So we're not done yet. It's never done, right? We're constantly adding and evolving it. So
Awesome. Well, I know we already talked about where they can go and find more information, but I'll make sure to also share a link in the show notes where they
mhm.
can specifically, if they're ready to dive in, they can go do that. And yeah, I'm excited to see how this serves others.
Thanks so much, Heather. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jake. Man, how good was that, you guys? I absolutely loved learning more about Project Broadcast and all of the really cool things down the pipeline. And if you want to check out Project Broadcast, if you don't already have a great text marketing platform for yourself, all you have to do if you're listening on Apple or wherever you listen to podcasts, you can just kind of swipe up, like tap your screen, swipe up, and you'll see the show notes. And right there, you'll have a link where you can check out to learn more about Project Broadcast. So can't wait to see what you think. As always, head on over to the Scale Without Social for Female Entrepreneurs Telegram group to let me know what you think and what you thought about this week's episode. And you can also get a link to that group and to learn more and stay in touch by texting the word podcast to 912-405-8912. Okay, awesome. I hope you guys have a fantastic week and can't wait to continue the series on the 5 steps that you can take to build your business without social media. And next up is the word delegate. So, can't wait to share another Ask the Expert episode with you guys next week on that. So, get excited. I'm so grateful for your time with me today. Feel free to check out heatherkburge.com for all the scoop on all the things. Also, I've got a huge favor. If you found any value from today's episode, would you mind leaving me a quick review? Or even better, share with a friend by clicking those 3 little dots at the bottom of your screen. Sending you big hugs.